Good.
Hi, friend.
Yo, how are we doing?
We are doing great. I guess the baby decided not to sleep last night. So we're, we're just moving around here this morning at a dismal pace. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I had a fairly good sleep
Good.
and yeah, I'm feeling good, man. I'm definitely feeling the grogging end of the winter season, this last little push.
Yeah, no, I also agree with you. I don't know. I feel like we're going into this new the new Chinese New Year. I feel like there's going to be a big kick, but it's feel like we're at the end of the leg, and I'm ready for that energy boost that I keep being promised by the world. Oh,
It's
I
gonna
love
be
it.
interesting. It's
I
gonna be
know.
interesting because you also think about a fire horse and like a horse running on fire like that. That's gonna light some shit on fire, dude.
I'm here for it, though. I'm ready to burn some things to the ground. I'm telling you, this past week, people have been testing me on the internet. I am not gonna lie. Oh, it's been a good time, but I'm excited to jump into this week's report for several reasons. How controversial can we be, my friend? Several reasons. This is why right here you don't listen to doctors on the internet. They might show up on the Epstein report. But this is the good news. We're not in it, so you can listen to us. Jesus,
Let's
man, what a
go.
week.
What a
Woo!
week. I didn't even realize these topics were controversial. I guess
Not
they're
controversial, just Peter
not.
Attia. And I got a photo with him, and that is not aging well.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm not in the loop on that one, so you're gonna have to catch me
Well,
up on some
listen,
other
this
day.
is this is why I like what we're doing here, because we're not trying to be the authority on the subjects. We're not trying to be these doctors on Instagram. We're trying to be people who are everyday people who have gone through uh, different types of parts of our lives where we've had to look into whether it's our own hormones, our own longevity, and our own products and what works for us. And that's what's great about what we're doing. We're not trying to be these doctors on the internet. We're trying to give information that you can either take or leave or go read on your own or utilize yourself. It's at the end of the day, it's all up to you, and it's all about just providing what we think and what we've used as positive information, and then it's up to you guys to go do your own due diligence afterwards.
Yeah, man, and that's the fun thing about health too, right? Like it's like these are all the topics that people are searching, so we're all talking about it. It's things we're
Exactly.
all learning. Certain doctors have their opinions, and some doctors are diving deep and studying it. Some are just talking off their opinions, and like this, we're all
Yeah,
people. We're all figuring it out. So
exactly.
this is
Yeah.
a fun one. So we're breaking down this week longevity, preventative health. That continues to be a hot topic. Hormone health. That one just continues to surge. Really cool one. Big focus
Yeah.
for us. So I'm excited to get into that. And then creatine, but creatine for women, we're going to focus on today. So
Nice.
that's been a new search trend, which is cool to see because I think that's a really big one for women.
Huge. And that was something like we talked about on the last episode that was brought up. Like again, always go back to my brain specialist, but creatine for women is so important. And I think we have this perception of gym bros around creatine. And so finding a really clean source of creatine is going to be great for women, but it's also going to help you balance those hormones, especially later on after your 30s when your muscle mass starts to deteriorate, as if you're not lifting any sort of weights. So that's gonna be a good one. All right, well, let's jump into longevity and preventative health. This one's a fun one because I think, like I said, preventative health is I've been on a trend for the past few years with a lot of different people, and I think it's not even about putting $2 million a year into your health. It's about doing the small little things that can actually help you sustain a healthier lifestyle moving forward. And people are kind of waking up to, like you've got here, health before symptoms show up. I love preventative health. Preventative health is like got to be one of my favorite things in the world when people actually care enough now to pay attention before something happens. Because the great thing about it is when you have data. That's what I was bringing up, the blood work stuff last week. When you have data to give to a doctor, whether it's a couple months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, whether it's blood work, your weight, paying attention to certain things, maybe stuff sensitivities you've noticed and you've started to take track of. You don't have to become obsessive. But biomarkers are so great for doctors. They help them so much instead of just going to you and saying, I have this problem. And I think that's going to be really exciting to see. So I'm loving people taking accountability before something happens so that when or if something does happen, they have a pathway at least to go down.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really cool one. That's one I think you were getting more and more accessibility now, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to get mine done here soon because you can do it with some naturopaths, I think. And
Mm-hmm.
then I know in the States it's just amazing. Like there's some companies popping up that are doing like at home testing. You just
Yeah.
send it in, like so good. Like it'd be really cool to see when that comes to Canada. There's no one doing that yet here, hey?
It's a little, I haven't seen anybody here doing that. It's a little stricter here with Canada because they only test certain biomarker, like only certain biomarkers are paid for by MSP. So if you're in Ontario, it's OHIP, but out here in BC, it's MSP. So they only will test a certain amount unless you're given a different requisition that says vitamin D, hormones, testosterone, free testosterone. And then you have to pay for those tests on top of it. They pull a little more blood. It's not a lot, but you have to pay for those on top of it. But your naturopath can do it. We have a naturopath here in South Surrey. He does the same types of stuff. You just ask for a rec. You say, these are the things I'd like to check and pay attention more to. And then again, I use Inside Tracker because it's easy and it's so simple. But you can do it still with the Life Labs. You just need a different rec for it.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it starts to I think there's this, it has been building over the last couple of years, and then we have we're changing the way we're thinking about, because preventative
Yeah.
health and health are completely different things, right? Like our health,
Absolutely.
our emergency healthcare system, it is amazing, but it's crumbled by like how much people are going there for preventative health when that
Yeah.
is just non-existent, right? So now we're in this kind of phase of discovering it because we
Yeah.
got detached from it. So much comes into how we feel, like what we're taking, the right food, supplements,
Mhm.
eating, like we've talked about a ton. And yeah, like if you're really unsure, getting those biomarkers checked is such a good way to go. I
It
have a friend.
is.
Yeah.
With it's really important because there is a few other pieces, right? So what it's the vitamins you're putting in are really important to pay attention to where they're being made, how they're being made, and what they're actually being tested for, including electrolytes. I sent you a recent article on one of the electrolyte competitor companies of ours that are going through some nasty stuff because claims are just not what they say they are. And we don't have to talk about the name of the people, but that's what I'm saying is you can't just blanket trust everything. You got to look a little deeper. It is a little more work. Even there's another brand that was the most popular vitamin brand for now probably 8 to 10 years is now been retested and is failing flat on its face hard. And that's another big one. I don't have to say it again. There's a ton of people discussing it right now, but it just goes to show you can actually design your own vitamins and work with it. So there's a company, I'm not at all affiliated with them. They're just ones I've used and they're out here. They're called Vitamin Lab. They're really cool because you can send them your blood work, you can send them what you need, and they will encapsulate it for you to the drop of what you need in those capsules. And then you'll have a consult call with them saying, this is what I saw in my blood work, this is what I'm looking for. And they will advise, okay, it'll be 1 or 2 capsules or however many, and they can tell you. They're called Vitamin Lab. Again, I'm not associated with them at all. It's just the one I used because I needed a more tailored vitamin toward me when I was going through brain treatment. They're a great company. They also are incredibly strict about cleaning their vats so that anytime they're mixing new product, there's no overlap, which is really great, was what you're looking for. So those are definitely a couple important ones I would take a look at. Not crazy expensive either. Very comparable to going to buy vitamins at like like a GC, like some of these other vitamin stores that you go and get your creatine or other things. But I would take a look at them, and if they're for you, give them a shot, give them a call. I don't, like I said, it's not like I have a discount code or something I can offer. It's just who I've used, and we've designed my vitamins through them.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah,
that's why we do ours. We work with some vitamins but a lot work with the plants and stuff because of
yeah,
like absorption factors and then tuning into certain areas that are common within people, and depending
absolutely.
on what you're working with, like I know I was chatting with someone the other day and she had just gotten her blood work done and she was incredibly low on iron and she got a
Yep.
yearly iron shot and that helped her huge. Like
Mhm.
there's some of these that like depending on what's going on, if we just can't figure it out, like where it's a really helpful tool.
I would also always be cautious of injections for several reasons, release factors. So, a lot of times they used to do this with B12 shots. They were really popular. And what's happening is your body is getting a heavy dose up front and then it's tailoring off. So, unless you have sometimes you can get the device that they put inside that will give you a tailored release injection. I'd be careful with those. They don't last as long as they say and they taper a little more aggressively. And you might get an overwhelming hit at front and that could be too front end heavy. So I always suggest, especially for women with iron, because that's a very common one with like anemia. A lot of women have it. Pay attention to those types of things. And I would just encourage trying to, before doing that, just because of the way it releases in the body and the hormones, I would definitely try to go food based first. And if you can't go food based, I would look at a smaller supplement daily. It's going to help and be less overwhelming on the nervous system and on the blood.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so and that's the big thing too. What I love is kind of we're starting to trend out of that biohacky
Yeah.
thing and like more into like the foundations piece because I think what happened there is like the biohacking is fun, but it's really you can't biohack if you don't have a foundation set. So you're kind of just like everyone's taking lithamine blue or whatever the fuck and saying it's doing these things and
Yeah.
it's like it may be for a short time period, but if you don't build that base, you have nothing to
Yeah.
work from. So that's why we talk a lot like wellness is performance, like getting that foundation first and
Mm-hmm.
then optimizing because it's such an important piece. And then it works out in our longevity. We see it in aging and skin health and
Mm-hmm.
well, the mushrooms are so powerful with helping with all those things. So that's really cool that we're starting to see that and getting this new perception around building a foundation because those real keys of being able to simplify it, that's been a huge theme through our year so far is just simplify and start with a foundation and then start to expand outward and start to get to know what your body's speaking to you, get a good start to continue to feel like, oh, this worked,
Mm-hmm.
this didn't work, and we always have that foundation to go back from. So when we're naturally always going to stray off, things are going to
There's
happen, life's going to happen, but we always have that foundation to come back to. So it's the key piece.
Right. And there's a really great doctor that's, after we just talked shit about doctors, she's in the same circle, but she's actually really brilliant on this. Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, she is the muscle specialist around protein and aging, specifically in longevity in women and hormone balance. And she's got a book that I've read a few times. She's a friend of mine, and she talks a lot about longevity and how to work with it, and it's all based around muscles. And it's really interesting because as women we're told often that bigger muscle is more masculine, but couldn't be further from the truth. And when it comes to longevity and these aging things, muscle mass is so important. And so, in the one thing I did appreciate about her book, I don't have it with me. I think it wasn't looking at a specific diet. It was giving you options, and she actually gave you a ton of tools in the back of the book. Probably about this much of the book is just like meal ideas for different types of people who are trying to build different types of muscles, who are trying to look at hormone balancing and things like that. So there are good resources out there that are heavily studied. All she looks at is muscle. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the deal, is muscle mass and women's health. So it was a really interesting one. And I also like to look at who's talking to me and what their body looks like. I think that's also a funny, important one that we overlook. For example, the Minister of Health of Canada, not somebody I'm taking health advice from, guys.
I can't even do that one.
It's okay. I can say it. I'm a woman. I won't take health advice from her at all, ever.
No.
But I would take health advice if I'm looking and seeing somebody follow their own protocols and I'm seeing positive results. And it's not just about eating, it's about lifting a certain way. It's about understanding that just because you have muscle doesn't make you masculine. It actually makes you strong. These types of things are breaking the perception of what health really is for women.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a cool one too as we start to get more research around and we'll dive into the
Yeah.
hormone thing here now in a sec, but just quickly with longevity too, like the biggest one, I think too, we're all these different supplements and they're great, but like the biggest one, and we've talked about this a ton. So if you want to check it out on the earlier episodes, but nervous system regulation, being in that parasympathetic, being able to control that, like
Yeah.
Those little tricks, like nothing supports longevity, if you want to call it biohacking, more than
Yeah.
being able to control your nervous system. Like that's such a huge one for recovery, for your body to be have
Yeah.
longevity, to work properly, and then all the other nutrients and stuff that we've chatted about.
Yeah, that cortisol's a spicy one in the morning. The second you wake up, that's where your highest spike's going to be. So that's why I always tell people if you can stay away from your phones for the first, 30 minutes to an hour, if you can avoid caffeine for the first 90 minutes and get bone broth or get some heavy fats and proteins, you want to keep that cortisol. And just again, I know mornings are chaos for moms. I'm just going to say it. I know it because I experience it. But I try really hard to set myself up with a really successful routine so that my cortisol doesn't spike in the morning, so I don't start off with that. And that's just, it can just be literally intentional breathing. So your kids are losing their crap. You got to take the dog outside. You got to do all these things. Just try to focus on your breath while you're going through it. Keep going through the same routine, but if you can just focus on your slow inhale, slow exhale, I'm telling you, those mornings, they go by at the same pace, but you feel a lot more grounded. The kids will feel more grounded. They will feel more at peace. And then going off to school is a lot easier to manage. I can assure you, I've tried it so intentionally this year, and it's made such a world of difference.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, hormone health. Why is
Yeah.
everyone talking about it? You kind of touched on it with cortisol. I think this is a big one. Cortisol dysregulation with chronic stress. Cortisol
Mhm.
too is like, it's. I think we got to be careful of not thinking of cortisol as the enemy. Like cortisol is an
Right.
important piece of our day. All these hormones play off each other, so it like comes into our circadian cycle. So that recovery piece, you don't get that without proper cortisol regulation through the day. Your energy, you're awake, like it's an important hormone for fight or flight to keep us
Yeah.
alive, these types of things. But it is like you say, like that dysregulation, we get those fucking
And we
big
don't
ups
even
and downs.
notice it's happening. That's the worst part. It's like it's okay to have as long as you know when it's like you know that it's coming from a healthy place. It's when we're completely unaware. We're yelling
Yeah,
at the guy in the car beside us who can't hear us, but we're
yeah.
spiking our cortisol higher than we need to, right? So I think it's this all comes back to awareness, man. I think our whole series is like just general awareness, which is really cool.
Really cool, because that to me is the ultimate biohack, is this
Yeah.
vessel you have, this mind body connection, right? Because you have the keys to that all the time, and it doesn't
Yeah.
cost anything, just a little bit of time, a little bit of commitment, a little bit of curiosity. And when it comes to this stuff, like it's such a huge piece.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The one I'm really excited to talk about too is the perimenopause one because it's funny because most of us go, "Oh, that happens in your 50s and your 60s." It's like, girl, that stuff happens early for a lot of people. And I got to tell you, the amount of women's solutions, even 10 years ago, the doctor's solution was hysterectomies. And so now the cool thing is if you don't have a cystic issue or you don't have some ovarian issues, you don't have to go get your entire body ripped out. Fun fact, you can learn how to manage it with hormones. And there are tons of ways to do so. I really like our women's electrolyte for this. This one's exciting for me. I've had a lot of clients on it, noticed a huge swing difference with it. And so it's about replenishing what our body is, I don't want to say necessarily fully depleting. It's changing. You're going to change. And as you age, that change will happen. So I also think it's a good thing to bring up too, because we are, whether we're comfortable with admitting it or not, are seeing earlier onset of perimenopause in women, and that could be due to several factors. It could be stress factors, hormone imbalances, glyphosate, could be plastics. It's environmental as much as it is physical. So I think there's a lot happening around that space, and I think you're seeing a lot of women go into it a little bit earlier. So that one's a fun one. I know Jay's great on that subject too, and I think maybe at one point we should do a live where we just go through some of that with her. I think that could be really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. We'll chat with her about that, because we got some exciting things coming. We got another women's cohort going on. We have
Yes.
our our anecdotal trial going on with University of the Sunshine Coast with
Mm-hmm.
in regards to women's health and microdosing, and then we also have um, yeah, this cohort is with a cool film that's come out recently on women's hormone health. So some
Mhm.
cool things come down the pipe. Maybe we can get Jay on here to chat a little bit about that, because that salty goddess is really, we've branded it as a women's electrolyte, but it's, it's really that whole thing. Jay was going through this perimenopause a few years back, and that's how it came about. Was we started to design
Mhm.
it for her and trial it on her, and it really supported from the vitamin adaptogenic profile within it, to having the creatine, to having, it's got everything you need to really just support the system, support the muscle, support the bone health. And you touched on something that's really important, I think, that having the coffee like 90 minutes after we wake up, and
Yeah.
having that water, or pinch of sea salt, or the salty goddess, something like that in the morning.
Mhm.
Because when it comes to cortisol, I'm not an anti-coffee guy. Coffee has some great benefits on its own. I'm a big coffee lover, but it is one of those ones. If we have it on a dry system, have it right away, like you get that cortisol jump up, you get this dump after,
Yeah.
and playing around with that timing and making sure that you have in the system, the coffee hits totally different. You only need one, and you feel really good throughout the day.
Mhm.
And that's a really big one when it comes to cortisol. And I think even with women, they're just a bit more sensitive than men. It's a huge piece.
Yeah, and I think that's perfectly fine to accept. I think we have a perception of sensitivity as a softness, and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. I also love looking at it from the blood sugar instability piece, because we do see a lot of at least what I've seen over time is a lot of women put themselves last, whether it's in their families, whether it's in their communities, and then they start to struggle. They don't eat as much. They drink another coffee instead of going to get some proper food and some proper protein. Then they struggle with that blood sugar instability. Then you get that irritability in the afternoon. Why is mom so cranky? She hasn't eaten today. So, we need to think about these things a little bit more. And also, one that's important that you brought up here was magnesium. I think most people are often depleted in magnesium and don't really understand how it helps build within the body and the hormones, and what a difference it makes when you actually are able to get it in either from a food base, or get it in from some form of supplement that you trust. I take mine at night, right before, about an hour before bed, and I use a liquid. I find it incredibly helpful and more restful. And if that's something you're going through, I'd also take a look at GABA, which is a like another one that's just a little tablet you put in your tongue, and it doesn't affect your hormone base at all. And GABA in itself has been great for brain health, instead of going to like something like a melatonin, because getting that rest is so important in balancing out those hormones.
Yeah, yeah, so good. That's where we've seen a lot of success with the Shine, because the Shine's
Mm,
focused on kava with some GABA there, as well as
yeah.
the boba basil and the ashwagandha. And that
Mhm.
one's we've had a lot of cool reports with women supporting with their cortisol and feeling really good on that one. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
a
like a
really huge.
weird, calm. I can't have ashwagandha right now, so I try to just do GABA, and it's funny because it's like a weird calming. You can feel it almost come over you. You're like, oh, the world's great again.
Yeah.
It's like it's
So
I don't know, man. It's a good time.
it's a powerful one, man. It's a
Yeah.
powerful Blue Lotus too. Plays off the
Yes.
GABA system. That's another plant. If doing the oils or something like that, sometimes it's nice to
Mhm.
just have it on the wrist during the day, and it can kind of be that scent trigger
Mhm.
if you're finding those stressful situations or anything like that.
Yeah, hugely helpful. I put them on rope bracelets or something. It holds scent really well, and then I'm able to
Oh,
use that. Yeah, that's why we started using lava rock a lot, like a decade ago with our company, and then with our rope ones, because then it'll hold the scent. And so I just use that as one of those touch pieces for physical touch to get you out of your mind, but then for the scent piece, it holds well.
I didn't realize that. Oh,
Hmm.
maybe we'll have to chat about that sometime.
Yeah, I got some weird stuff, man. People don't know about my weird stuff.
We got to hear more about the weird stuff. I had no
Hey, yeah,
idea.
more than you think. I'm holding it in tight.
So,
Sure.
yeah, before we jump into the creatine here, like that burnout one that you touched on, that often is that
Mhm.
kind of like indicator that we are having some of that hormone misalignment. Like you said, super easy to happen, especially when you're running around putting yourself last. Any of these types of things, like I think a big one, that I've heard a lot is diet and women thinking that they can't eat this protein because it's going to get bad, or this, or even like
Yeah.
carbs too, right? Like getting a good sourdough or something like that. I know that's been really helpful for Jay. That those like kind of reframing the way we look at diet, having those kind of snacks during the day, those can be really helpful tools.
Protein creatine, bro. Don't you know that's the way it goes? You gotta do the protein. I don't care what anybody says. You will never feel better than when, excuse me, you get a clean protein in your body. I see a significant difference. And just anecdotally for me, the amount of meat I have been eating is ungodly. I actually think it's where my savings account is going. But I have been eating at least on average one stripling a day plus like 4 eggs a day, and then having meat sticks as snacks in between. So it feel like money, but I'm also blowing the money, but I feel like money. And so I got to tell you that protein, getting it in. I also like using. There's a couple different brands that have. If you don't like meat, Noble has a good. I don't work with them, but Noble has a really good clean nose to tail protein. They have chocolate or vanilla, tastes like ice cream. I make it in a smoothie with peanut butter, and it's like going to Dairy Queen. So that helps a lot too. So if you don't want to eat an animal, I get it, I hear you. Then eat the ground up animal. It's fine. It's better. Your amino acids are in it. You're not going to notice it, and it makes it's really really clean. It's made in North America, so just getting that protein in. They have huge creatine numbers in there too. And if you're looking to add a creatine supplement, you can pop it in there with a smoothie, and then that way you're not struggling so much to get it all in because too many pills for some people, too many supplements. And if you're not going to eat meat and you want to be a vegetarian, let's just go away from soy and into like animal based if we can, if you can stomach mentally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. That's gonna be just a tiny baby that you're having there. Hey.
Oh, she's gonna be lean, homie. She's gonna be. I eat. You know what I do though? The problem is with me. I grew up with a Hungarian parent, so it's like meat and bread. So I knew the that when I ate bread that was made here in Canada, that I will balloon and I will become incredibly inflammatory for me. So if I eat bread, I try to go to. We have a local market here where it's made here, and it's like a sourdough. And I only, if I'm going to eat bread, I eat sourdough only, because I'm not as womanly as Jay, so I haven't learned the sourdough technique yet. I haven't got on the train. But I will say I do eat, if I do eat breads, it's going to have to be like a really clean sourdough. Otherwise, I feel, but also, have you seen the size of Michael? I'm trying to keep her lean, son.
Too good, too good. Yeah, and that one with bread, like that's the biggest one. But there's a lot of good wherever you are. There's a
Yeah,
local
yeah,
bakery who's someone who's comes from a Eastern European or some sort of Italian lineage that's still getting the right grains that aren't
yeah,
aren't mixed up and stuff. You just got to look a little bit, but they're in like basically every city in town. So
yeah.
just take a look, and usually going local there is the trick.
But listen, I'm not gonna lie. I'm going to Highs tonight. I'm gonna eat 2 baskets of cheese bread and then have a really big steak. So I'm not gonna like. I'm not the person who's like, oh, I can't do it. I just know tomorrow morning I'll probably have a little more brain fog than I normally do, and I just mitigate accordingly. Don't do it every day.
Yeah, yeah, we got to enjoy it. Got to enjoy.
Regulation.
That's it. That's it. All
That's
right,
it.
creatine.
Hit me
Creatine
with
for
it.
women. This is a fun one because everything we've already talked about, there's emerging research. Finally, we're doing some research on women, not 15-year-old boys, on real live women. And it's
Ah,
it's coming out. It's showing us, that creatine is so much more than a muscle building,
yeah.
muscle beach kind of supplement. And it's thinking about it from that ATP process, from the cell, like it's an energy driver. It's a piece of that process. Magnesium plays a role in that, and sodium plays a role in that. There's a few things that play a role in that, but we're starting to see more research around creatine and how it's supporting not only muscle health but brain and then just overall energy too. I've been playing around with it from when I'm tired or have upping my dosage in the morning, and it's something I'm definitely noticing. It does support me and give me a bit more Bit more, yeah, brain energy. I feel like I got more brain energy in the tank. That salty Einstein's been a beast for me, but
That's what I was gonna say. That's the one I take when I definitely am noticing it. It's a huge one I use in the morning as an electrolyte. That's kind of my jam. It just,
yeah,
I find it just brings the pep in the step. I'm also a big fan of, not obviously just utilizing that, but I use a few different other things, but just clean. I just wherever you're gonna get it, however you're gonna get it, just make sure your source is clean. That's all I ever, ask. Clean sources, vet them, look at what else they manufacture, things like that. Especially if you're sensitive to other either chemicals or minerals, just being aware. But I will say it's hugely beneficial. I've noticed it. It's also great if you're an athlete and you're a soccer player or you're hitting your head. Creatine does wonders for the world when it comes to your brain health. So adding that in, looking at the overall body, it's not just going to, give you a pep in your step. It's actually going to help cushion those brain neurons when you're taking in any sort of head hit. So if you got a kid in soccer who's heading the ball off their frontal lobe, that's a huge one. It will help a lot with regeneration. And then when you look at something like our lion's mane for the nerve growth factor, and you kind of couple those together, you're going to hit a good whammy there with it.
yeah, yeah. That magnesium L3, and it's awesome for
Yeah.
brain function and inflammation stuff too. Yeah, and so it's cool because a lot of these like the few studies we have seen, they're starting to focus. It's from that what you touched on with the women's strength, that bone
Yeah.
strength, muscle strength, that's supporting during the menstrual cycle, some perimenopause, menopausal things, because that's all again too just that weakening of the bones and the
Mhm.
muscles and how that's relaying into the nervous system and the hormones. So yeah, creatine for women is really showing a lot of positive effects and seeing some really good effects in the people we are working with. Sounds like you are too. We're using an HCl so that when we're getting, it's not creating that bloating effect. There is some research that gram to 2 grams a day is really great for women. So yeah, it's been a really cool to see this start to spark up and get more research around it.
And I think what's neat is as people use it, they're going to see a huge benefit with it too. It's kind of proof in the pudding. Some people don't maybe understand it or trust it, but it's just about getting it into your system and acknowledging when you feel better and when you don't. And I always tell people if you're struggling to, I can't necessarily differentiate, write down in a journal, today I did this, this, and this, and then try that for a couple days and then see how you feel at the end of the week. Write down the differences you notice, whether it's your sleep or others. And if you're still struggling with it, then I like to do the off and on test. So if you feel like you tried it for the week and it was solid, and then you're like, I'm not convinced, then go without it for the following week, see how you respond. And if you're like, yep, that's the difference, then go back onto it and really tailor that and dial it in a little bit more.
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a great way because because the timing can be so important for this stuff, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
great practice to hit it straight in the morning, see how you go. But if you are finding you're hitting those afternoon lulls, that type of thing, like
Yeah.
taking those notes and seeing
Hmm.
where, because that can be super effective if we can spread it out, kind of tap into when the time of the day to support. And
Yeah.
everyone's cycles and days are different, so it's
Yeah.
figuring out what works for you.
Yeah, I love it. I'm excited about this one. I'm curious to see how people respond to it. I am excited to see people making the change, and what they're noticing after they've kind of maybe listened to some of these and gone through, either tried our electrolytes or taken the suggestions and seen how they've benefited them. I'd always love to hear that. So if people do or have tried it and it's working for them, feel free to either DM myself or Good Living. I think it's great to always get feedback. And I always love to know what they want to know more about, and whether it's more education, different people, different types of supplements, maybe what we've seen, some of our research and studies. So always encouraging those that are listening back to give us your feedback. Let us know what you think. This is how things get better and how we tune it into more of what our community is asking for.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for saying that.
Mhm.
Please, yeah, send all the questions, reports, information, anything
Mhm.
that comes up, and we're so happy to hear that, and we're just always trying to get better and seeing how we can keep improving it. Share this, ask questions, let us know what you think and what you want to talk about, and we'll keep jamming.
Works for me, man. I appreciate it. Love the stuff. We just got to keep doing the things, people. Keep participating. Be
That's
conscious
it.
of your body and participate. That's all we ask. And the world
The
gets better as one
foundations
person.
for getting
Foundation,
it.
son.
We're getting it.
I'm gonna drink
All
my
right.
coffee
Well,
now.
time for coffee. That's it. It's 9:30. It's coffee time, baby. All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Okay, see you later, honey.
Peace.
Bye, guys.